Hey, Michael the Parrot Wizard here with Rachel, my blue and gold macaw. And I know I spent a lot of time talking about the benefits of parrot training and how important parrot training is. But today I'm going to talk about how to improve your relationship with your parrot without the use of parrot training. Let me tell you about a number of ways that you can earn parrot trust without the use of any parrot training. First of all, being patient. Parrots are prey animals, so they are not good at any rushing. When you want to rush into things with them, that makes them more standoffish, more fearful, and fear can lead to biting. So when it comes to building trust, having patience and building it very slowly for the long run is definitely the way to go. Next, you want to be calm around your parrot. Again, being anxious, being rushed, trying to do things quickly, trying to get soon results, just even being worked up, just even excitement might be excessive. So being calm around a parrot is a great way to improve trust. Now, that doesn't mean that parrots don't like some excitement in their life, but that excitement is not necessarily the best thing for building that more hands-on trust that you want to eventually have. So playing around with a parrot, dancing with them, getting them all worked up and excited, it may be fun and they might even enjoy it, but it's not necessarily going to be beneficial for building trust. So during trust building, make sure that you have a more calm demeanor as well as a calm environment. So that's the next point. You want to have a calm environment when you are building trust with a parrot. Doing it in the middle of a busy living room where kids and other animals are running around and there's all this mayhem and noise might not be the best time for building trust. Is it fun and interesting for your parrot? It may well be. But when you want to be building trust with your parrot, even without the use of parrot training, make sure that you're doing it in a calm environment. Maybe take the parrot to a bedroom where there's nobody else and just have that parrot sitting in the room with you in that calm environment, getting used to the fact that you're not doing very much. That helps build up trust. There's not a lot of noise, not a lot to look at, so the parrot can have eye contact with you and see what you're doing rather than constantly turning around and looking like, oh, what's that? What's that? What's going on? So the parrot's going to be much less defensive if you are building trust in a calm environment. Next, to build trust with a parrot, be predictable. That's doing things in a similar way on a regular basis. So that's things like how you dress, how you act around the parrot, how you talk to the parrot, what kind of body language you give off, how you move around. Doing things a little different, again, that excitable approach where one day you're cheering, another day you're yelling, and something different all the time, that's not very predictable. It's hard to build trust with a parrot when things keep changing. So being predictable is very helpful. Another way to be predictable, and that's not necessarily training, but something that I use for training, is to use predictable movements of your body. So instead of having your hand just show up in front of the parrot and, oh, that's startling, not expected, be predictable. Start with your hand far away when you approach the parrot. When you're walking up to the parrot, walk up slowly to the parrot. So that helps make it predictable what you're doing, who you are, what's about to happen, so that there's much less confusion and fright. Again, parrots being prey animals, a lot of things scare them, and unpredictability is definitely one of them. Next, for building trust with your parrot, you really want to avoid doing bad things to your bird. And I don't just mean things that are obviously bad, but even things that just the bird might think are bad, might just feel awkward about. So being pushy, being too in the bird's face, being too demanding, making the bird go in the cage when it doesn't want to go in the cage, making the bird come out of the cage when it doesn't want to come out of the cage, forcing the bird to step up when the bird isn't ready to step up. All these kind of things, they're not really bad things. They're not terrible. They're not mean things, but the bird didn't want to do that. And that type of action can definitely hurt your trust building. So when you are working on building trust with a parrot, and particularly without the use of parrot training, you really want to avoid anything that the parrot might see as undesirable, let alone bad, to avoid stemming distrust in the process. Another great way to build trust with a parrot is talking to them. All parrots, from a tiny budgie to a giant macaw, are very audible creatures. They love to listen to different sounds, and many of them can learn to repeat those sounds through vocalizations or talking. Not all parrots are going to talk, but they all listen. So talking to them extensively in a predictable, calm, patient way is a great way to help build that trust. It creates that predictability we talked about earlier. When you say, hey, would you like a head scratch? Oh, yes, you would. Oh, there you go. Is that the spot? You like your scratches there? That's great. So being audible and vocal about what you're doing with the parrot can greatly help in that process. It takes a while for them to learn all of this talking and what it means, what the tone of your voice means, and what that's going to lead to. So that brings us right back to where you want to be patient as well as predictable, but talking helps those a lot. When you're building trust with a parrot, you really want to make sure you're working at the bird's pace. You don't want to rush, and the pace that that bird is ready to build trust at can be different for every individual, every background, every kind of parrot. It's going to vary. So you really want to take feedback from the parrot about how that parrot is reacting to the things you're working on building trust with. And don't get misled. Just because you've had a parrot in the past where you built trust more quickly does not mean that it's going to go just as quickly with the next. And it doesn't mean it's going to take as long and go as slowly as with a prior parrot either. They're all different, and taking your time to individually discover each parrot's comfort level and pace will help you be able to befriend that parrot and build trust at the parrot's pace. And when building trust with a parrot without use of training, you might want to moderate and lower your expectations. Don't expect that parrot to be doing flight recalls and stepping up on your hand and letting you touch them all over the body right away. These things may or may not happen over time, even without training. It is possible to very slowly and patiently build trust with a parrot without the use of any training. But you really want to tame down those expectations. I certainly hope that you don't watch videos where I'm able to handle and do so much with my parrots and expect to be able to do that quickly, particularly without the use of parrot training. Parrot training greatly helps expedite and improve that process, so I'm able to share much better and more extensive results that way. But as I said, parrots are really smart and they're really loving and amazing creatures, and it is certainly possible to befriend them and build trust without the use of training, but it takes a lot of patience. But with all that in mind, parrot training can greatly expedite and improve your bonding and relationship building with a parrot. So I strongly recommend, if you have the interest and patience to do training with a parrot, to check out my book, The Parrot Wizard's Guide to Well-Behaved Parrots, and learn how we can use both our patient trust building that I've explained earlier in this video, along with positive reinforcement training techniques to improve the behavior and relationship even more. Parrot training can expedite the process. It can also make it more robust, where the behaviors are much stronger and more robust in the event that things go wrong. If something goes off, where maybe you're not around the parrot for some time, or the parrot goes through a hormonal season or an age change and loses some of the trust that you've patiently built, well, having parrot training as a background makes it much easier to fix and bring back the relationship that you've achieved through training than the relationship you've achieved through patient trust building. Also, parrot training is more transferable. A parrot that is trained using tools and techniques, it's much easier to pass that trust to other people, like other family members, or if someone ever were to inherit your parrot. If the parrot has been previously trained, it is much easier for a different person to build trust with that parrot by replicating the same tools and techniques and methods with that parrot, rather than the very slow and patient trust building that I described in this video that can work without training. So the ultimate approach is to really use a bit of both. When you use trust building without training throughout your day and routine, and throw in some parrot training as well, can build the most excellent and robust and long-term loving relationship with any size parrot. Thanks for watching, and check out parrotwizard.com for my supplies, articles, videos, and information to help you with any parrot.